Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about 3 common misconceptions in Islam. Before I dive straight into the matter, I think we have to define some terms. Firstly, Islam means to submit. To submit to who? To submit to God. And if you've ever heard the term Salamu Alaikum, this is a term that Muslims use to greet each other. And believe it or not, Salamu Alaikum means peace be upon you. And the root word for Islam is salam. Salam actually means peace. So how has this religion, that comes from the root word peace, and you have these Muslims walking around saying peace be upon you all day, how and why has it become this religion that is associated with violence and terror? That's kind of what I want to look into today. So I think it all began with this event, 9/11, the tragedy that killed almost 3,000 people. After that event, I noticed everything change. So you had this nation, the United States of America, of over 300 million people who, let's face it, didn't know much about Islam and Muslims, who had no story about Islam, and all of a sudden they're getting this single story of Islam that's only associated with these terrorist attacks. So you can't really blame this rise in Islamophobia, the fear of Islam. The media has created this inherent fear in all of us, because all you hear is this one single story: terrorist attacks, violence, suicide bombs, negativity. And in the next slide, I'm going to show you a word, and I think I can prove to you that it's affected, you have an incorrect perception of Islam, because this word has taken up so much connotation that it scared me. So I'm Muslim, and if it scared me, I can't imagine, what it's done to you. So if you want, you can take out a piece of paper and just write down the 3 words that come to mind, or you can do this in your head. It doesn't really matter. It's just for you to keep to yourself. So here it is. Jihad. Oh my God, jihad. It's just a word. And before I want to explain what it is, I want to tell you guys a story, something that happened at the U of A. I was with a friend. We were coming from the library, and we were going up the stairs onto the University of Arizona Mall, just right here. And I don't know if you guys know the Alumni Plaza. It's really close to the Student Union. So we were walking on the U of A Mall, and this, if you don't know, is the most crowded place at the university. So we're walking and walking, and then I see this guy at the Alumni Plaza, and he's holding up this sign, and it says, "Every Muslim is a jihadi." And so recall the words that came to mind when I showed you that word. I don't know about you, but for me, and like I said, I'm Muslim, the words that come to mind are bombs, explosions, suicide, all this scary stuff. So and this event happened, I don't think coincidentally, on September 11th, 2013. And so what I did was I reported it to the Dean of Students, because I've been receiving these emails that saying, if you see, discrimination stuff, report it to us and we'll sort it out. I basically reported it, and this, there was a course of email exchanged, and the conclusion was basically they dismissed it, brushed it off, said freedom of speech. And I don't want to get into that debate, because that's a whole other matter in itself. But let me ask you this question. If it was someone wearing a KKK costume, or a Nazi uniform, would there be the same passive reaction as with this guy? Personally, I don't think so, but I'll leave that up to you to figure out. And the reason I was shocked is because I had this single story of the US, the United States. It's a country where all men are created equal. It's a country that, holds their ideas so highly. They go to war over ideals, difference in ideals. They believe in freedom of religion. They believe in, just general equality. And this is just another example. I mean, it happened with the Boston bombings, and this is stuff we have to go through as Muslims, all the time. But the fact that it's in the US, I was kind of shocked. In the most crowded place at the University of Arizona, this guy has the audacity to, hold up this poster, and no one was doing anything about it. And I think part of the reason is because no one knows what this word means, so they can't say, hey, what are you doing? No, I mean, you can't, because you don't know what it means. So if you don't know what it means, how are you supposed to take action? So jihad, believe it or not, comes from the root word juhd. This means struggle. So this word that can be translated to holy war is completely incorrect. It doesn't mean holy war. It means to struggle in the way of God. So you're struggling for God. So a prime example of this, for example, is Ramadan. Ramadan is the holy month in Islam where Muslims fast from sunrise till sunset. And you're not allowed to eat anything, and you're not allowed to drink. So as Muslims, we have this internal struggle. Why? Because we know no one's looking at us. We can just go into the kitchen, have a cup of water. We can just go, when no one's looking, we know we can get away with eating. We know we can get away with drinking. But you don't. Well, some people do, but that's them. That's their choice. But the idea is that you don't, because you're thankful for what you have, and you're doing this for God. So jihad means to struggle in the way of God. It doesn't mean holy war. It doesn't mean suicide bombs. It doesn't mean all the stuff that you see in the media. So this guy actually is correct. Technically, he's right. All Muslims are jihadi. We all struggle. We all have this internal struggle between ourselves. I mean, he's not incorrect. But recall what you guys thought, the words that you thought in your head about what it meant, and what the media associates with it, and the day, September 11th. So from that, you can, come to the conclusion that this guy was trying to have a poke at the Muslim community. The second misconception I want to address is violence. Islam is not this violent religion that it's portrayed to be. And I think a way to show you that is to talk about the rules in Islamic warfare. So there's a lot of rules in Islamic warfare, and I'm just going to list a few that I found interesting, and I think will help change your perception. 1, you're not allowed to kill or harm children. 2, you're not allowed to kill or harm women. 3, you're not allowed to kill or harm unarmed individuals. So anyone who doesn't have a weapon, you're not allowed to touch. 4, you cannot mutilate the bodies. 5, you cannot kill the livestock of whoever you're invading or attacking unless it's to feed yourself. And one I found surprising, actually, myself, when I was looking into this term and the rules of warfare, was that you couldn't even destroy trees. I mean, that surprised me. I was shocked. You can't destroy trees. And another one is you cannot attack by surprise. You're not allowed to surprise the enemy. So what they did, what I mean by that is you're allowed to surprise, but you stop short of actually attacking. So what they used to do in the old days, when the Islamic Empire was expanding, they used to move an army so big, so vast, to the location they were attacking, and then talk to the leader, and then he would see that it wasn't in his favor to, go to war, because he wasn't prepared. So that's kind of, and looking back at 9/11, there were children on the planes. They killed Muslims, which you're also not allowed to do. They killed women. Was anyone armed? No. Did they announce their attack? Did they say they're going to bomb the Twin Towers? No, they didn't. So they attacked by surprise. So these guys don't, I don't know why they're being shown as like the leaders of the Islamic community, because they're not. And lastly, I want to talk about this idea that Muslims are like somehow the ambassadors for Islam. I mean, in theory, it should be true, but it isn't. And this puts a lot, like I've heard this a lot. People say like, oh, I have a Muslim friend and he goes drinking, and he goes and drinks. So I'm assuming that that's the same with, everyone. But if you want to learn about Islam, go to the source, go to the Quran and read that, and then make up your mind about whether you agree with, the religion or not. But don't look at, people's actions, because Muslims are people, and people make mistakes. And so I want to conclude with something this Nigerian storyteller said. She said, show a people as one thing and one thing only, and that is what they become. And I think that's something that's exactly what's happening in the US right now. And finally, the solution. It's something that this man said. And this man passed away sadly last week. It's Nelson Mandela, if you don't know. And he said something very profound that I hold very close to my heart. He said, education is the most powerful weapon that can be used for change. So if we want to change the US, if we want to change the society to become a more open-minded society, we have to educate ourselves for the US to become the society that upholds the true American values. Thank you.